Hello everyone, this is the first episode of the calligraphy series, episode 1. I'm going to be showing you how I do a simple 3-layered, 3-colored wording with a simple glitter overlay in Procreate. First, what I usually do, and that's a necklace I designed also in Procreate. I'll be working one of those videos as well. But first, what I usually like to do is I like to sketch out my idea by hand with an old school pencil. Sometimes I use a pen, sometimes I can use a marker as well. But I like to sketch it out first so I can see how I want the lettering to look. Then I'll figure out if I want to use a classic calligraphy brush pen in Procreate, if I want to use a monoline brush pen in Procreate, and that just means the lining of the letter is going to be all one size. That's what monoline is. So I usually like to figure all of that out by sketching it out first, the old-fashioned way. Also, Procreate, for those of you who may be wondering, is basically a art design program that a lot of artists use. So if you want to do a digital drawing, if you want to do a print drawing, if even yourself want to do some simple linear line artwork, you can do it in Procreate. I personally mainly use it for this reason. So if I design a t-shirt, if I design a sticker pack, if I design a simple lettering for a necklace, a bracelet, for whatever it is, if I design some kind of lettering, some kind of calligraphy, no matter what style or straight, for an invitation, whatever, I'm going to do it in Procreate first. Right now, what I am actually doing, I'm basically just testing out again how I want the lettering and the lining to look. So I'm just drawing it out here. I'm making the strokes a little bit thicker at the top, and when you go on a downstroke on calligraphy, it's usually when the lining thins out, and then I'm just filling it in here. Now usually if you use a classic nib, the nib on your pen, when you press down on it, the tip will open up. It's a really thin tip and the ink will spill out. So if you're using a classic nib, it will do this without you having to draw it and fill it in. But when you do faux calligraphy this way with like a pen again or a marker or something like that, when you do it by hand, you'll draw the line out like you see me doing here, and then you fill in the centerpiece. So it kind of looks or gives a similar look to what would happen when you use a classic nib. I'm going to try to fast forward through this bit so we can skip to the next part. So we are going to start fresh, start from the beginning. So I can show you my process. I'm selecting my monoline brush. Now you can also adjust the streamline to the brush. Streamline is basically an assist to help make sure the lines of the lettering aren't as wiggly, so they can be as close to what I do on paper as possible. You can adjust the size, you can make it really thick, you can make it really thin if you choose. And when you do the layering, you want to actually select different layers. So for this first layer, I'm just going to select like a deep red color. So we can write out January. I'm going to adjust the size of the brush. For this example, in this practice, I want to do it a little bit thicker. So when you do the different layers of the different colors, to me, it'll flow a little bit better. And that's just, again, a personal opinion. You can make it thicker, you can make it thinner if you so choose. I just like it when you're doing a layering of this kind for it to be a little bit thicker versus thinner. So I'm just going to go ahead, and you probably hear my kid in the background, so I apologize about that. But you can go ahead and do your lettering in Procreate as I'm doing here. Just going to make the loop on the R a little bit bigger. That's why I had to redo it. And then once you do that, you're going to go ahead and make any adjustments on the lettering. I selected the eraser brush just so I can take out any minor imperfections that you might see. And this part is easy to do. You don't always have to do it, but especially if I'm designing a t-shirt or anything like that, I prefer to make it as straight and as neat as possible when I'm doing digital calligraphy. So if I upload it to my cutting program and I use Design Space, Cricut Design Space, the cuts in that design program for whatever lettering I'm doing is going to be a bit cleaner when I clean it up in my design program this way. So that's what I'm doing here. Just trying to clean up the A a little bit. Just looking around. I'm going to go ahead and do the second A here. Get that cleaned up. Okay, I think I have it the way I want it now, so I'm going to duplicate the layers. So that way, when you duplicate it, you don't actually have to rewrite it. Once I duplicate it, I'm going to select Alpha Lock. I'm going to make my brush bigger, and I'm going to select a different color. And this is how you can color just the lettering so it won't get on the background. Select the layer that you want to color, select Alpha Lock, pick a different color, and as you see here, once I take my brush over the canvas, it's going to color only the lettering that I created. I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom layer. I'm going to pick a different color. And again, you see I'm going to change the color here, get that coloring a little bit different so that it's different than the top layer. And then I'm going to select both layers so I can adjust the placement. I'm going to work with the bottom layer first. I'm going to select the arrow, and as you see here, moving it around so you can see, I'm going to adjust the coloring so I can place it how I want it. I'm going to do the same to the top layer. I'm going to select the top layer. I'm going to go ahead and select the arrow button so I can move it and move the top layer around. So now I have it about placed exactly where I want it. And in this close-up, you can see the 3 different layers, so you can see exactly how it looks. So I'm going to merge them. You just select it and you just select merge down again. So now all the layers are merged together. I'm going to select a different brush. I'm going up to my micro glitter brush, so that way I can go ahead and add the glittering effect. And of course, it's still an Alpha Lock, so I don't have to do it Alpha Lock again. So that way when I run my brush over it, like in a previous example, it's just going to put the glitter on the lettering. And you can see that in the close-up here. So something like this is pretty simple to do. So in the next episode, we'll work on some other stuff. Maybe I'll do chalkboard lettering, maybe even by pencil, maybe even an old school nib. So I appreciate your time and thank you for watching.